Forget everything you think you know about Cleopatra. She wasn't just a fabled beauty. She was a ruthless, cold-blooded political mastermind. She survived family assassination plots, spoke 9 languages, and manipulated the 2 most powerful commanders of the Roman Empire, all to protect Egypt. But how much of her story is real history? And how much is Roman propaganda? Today, we pull back the golden curtain on the last pharaoh of Egypt. Subscribe now, and let's dive in.
Cleopatra VII ruled ancient Egypt during a period of great political turmoil. Her legacy is defined by her intelligence, political savviness, and tumultuous relationships with influential Roman leaders. This is the true story of Cleopatra. The early years. Cleopatra was born in Alexandria, Egypt's capital, in 69 BCE. However, Cleopatra's ancestry was not Egyptian, her lineage traced back to Macedonia. She belonged to the Ptolemaic dynasty, established by Ptolemy I Soter, a general under Alexander the Great. In her youth, Cleopatra received a first-class education, particularly excelling in languages. It is reported that she was fluent in at least 9. When her father, Ptolemy XII, died in 51 BCE, Cleopatra ascended to the throne alongside her 11-year-old brother, Ptolemy XIII, who became her husband. Marriages between siblings were customary in the Ptolemaic dynasty. It was an uneasy union and lasted only 3 years before Cleopatra was forced out of Alexandria. She established a court near Gaza and began building an army to retake power from her brother. However, to achieve this, she needed the support of Rome. Political alliances and a meeting with Caesar. At the time, Rome was embroiled in its own turmoil, with Julius Caesar and Pompey the Great locked in a fierce civil war. In 45 BCE, Caesar emerged victorious. Though, in 48 BCE, Pompey had fled to Egypt seeking refuge, only to be murdered by Ptolemy XIII's men. When Caesar arrived in Alexandria in search of Pompey, he found himself caught in the middle of the sibling rivalry between Cleopatra and Ptolemy XIII. Julius Caesar demanded a meeting with both siblings. Ptolemy XIII, hoping to exclude his sister, posted guards at every entrance to his palace. Cleopatra, however, proved resourceful. According to legend, she had 2 of her servants smuggle her into the meeting concealed within a rolled carpet. Caesar was evidently impressed by her cunning, as he reinstated her to the throne the very next day. Despite already being married, Caesar found himself captivated by the young queen. Is Cleopatra making a political decision when she has an affair with Caesar? Yes, absolutely. On June 23, 47 BC, Cleopatra gave birth to a son, Ptolemy XV, though he was better known as Caesarion, Little Caesar. When the baby was 1, Cleopatra traveled to Rome and stayed there as Caesar's guest, further cementing their political alliance. However, mere hours after Caesar's assassination in 44 BCE, Cleopatra fled Italy, returning to Egypt. Caesar's death was a disaster for Cleopatra. She had lost her alliance with Rome. Both her own stability and that of her country now hung in the balance. A new alliance. Luckily for Cleopatra, one of Rome's new rulers, Marcus Antonius, commonly known in English as Mark Antony, was just as taken by the Egyptian pharaoh as Caesar had been. He deserted his wife and married Cleopatra around 32 BC. Soon, they were blessed with 3 children, twins Alexander Helios and Cleopatra Selene, and another son, Ptolemy Philadelphus. The union was both a romantic and political alliance. Cleopatra provided Mark Antony with resources and support in his struggle against Octavian for control of Rome. In return, Antony recognized Caesarion as Caesar's legitimate heir, further challenging Octavian's claim to power. The Battle of Actium. In response, Octavian persuaded the Senate in Rome to declare war, culminating in the Battle of Actium in 31 BCE. This naval conflict was a disaster for Antony and Cleopatra, sending their entire fleet to the bottom of the sea. The lovers, devastated by the defeat, fled back to Egypt. This retreat marked the beginning of the end for them. Octavian's forces were simply unstoppable. When his army invaded Egypt a year later, they besieged the palace. Despite his efforts to repel the attackers, Mark Antony was overwhelmed. His troops, outnumbered 2-1, were forced to retreat. A tragic end. On August 1, 30 BC, Mark Antony received false news that Cleopatra had died. Fearing crucifixion at the hands of his enemies and unable to bear life without Cleopatra, Antony attempted suicide. He propped his sword upright between the flagstones and fell upon it. As Antony lay bleeding on the floor, servants entered and revealed the truth: Cleopatra was still alive. The mortally wounded Antony was then carried to Cleopatra's chamber, where he died slowly in her arms. Facing capture and possible execution by the Roman army, Cleopatra took her own life 10 days after the death of her husband. Famously, it was said that she allowed an asp to bite her, letting its poison flow through her blood. The idea that she was killed by a snake is appealing because snakes were strongly associated with kingship in ancient Egypt. However, some historians doubt this account, noting the improbability of a snake being smuggled into her quarters undetected or acting quickly enough to kill her before Octavian's soldiers arrived. Some believe it was a story brewed up to cement her place in history, a fittingly tragic end for a legendary figure. Scholars have attempted to uncover the true cause of Cleopatra's death, but their efforts have been inconclusive. The most popular theory suggests she applied a poisonous ointment to a self-inflicted wound. Cleopatra was 39 when she died. While history often portrays her as the ultimate femme fatale, her reign was marked by resourcefulness and persistence. Though her death led to Egypt falling under Roman control, Cleopatra's story is ultimately one of survival against formidable odds. She was almost able to do everything she wanted to, and she certainly gave it her best shot. So I think we should respect her as an intelligent woman and not as some sort of ancient world bimbo, because that just seems so wrong.